What's going on, everyone? Started the stream early because why wait an additional 20 minutes? The game's just over. Let's capitalize off the excitement from that game. Vooch having his best game of the season, responding to just the down season that he's had so far. This was a game in which really Nikola Vucevic did everything that you want him to do. At the times where the Bulls were having difficulty with the zone, he was in the middle playing very well. He rebounded well, played defense pretty well tonight. Seemed like he didn't register any steals officially, but I feel like he deflected a few that ended up being steals. 14 rebounds overall in this game, a plus minus of plus 31, the highest plus minus of anyone on the team. This was a game in which he doesn't need to score at this level every game, right? No, nobody needs that. Well, I mean, I say nobody needs, but he doesn't need to score this level, especially considering just the balanced attack that the Bulls had again. Bulls getting back to moving the ball around. They still having difficulty with that zone defense. They did not have a down third quarter like they have in a lot of games. They actually outscored the Hornets by 8 coming out of halftime. Now, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, seemed like Charlotte they whittled that lead down, I think, to low as 4. Bulls battled back. Charlotte did win the fourth quarter this time by 5, but the Bulls were able to hold on for the victory. Every time it seemed like Charlotte was prepared to take over that lead, the Bulls responded very well. This is what you want to see from a team. This is kind of what we expected from this game. High octane offense from both teams. This is why I want to see these two teams in the playoffs. Don't know what will happen, but this was a game in which, if you're a fan of either team, they did not disappoint. Yeah, they lost by a large margin, but as we all know, with basketball games, it's not always the points tell the full story of this game. Charlotte played very well in this game, especially offensively. They even showed up defensively and gave the Bulls some fits. And with that zone defense, the Bulls are going to have to figure out how to battle the zone. The biggest thing coming from this game for me, as far as the negative thing from the Bulls, if the Bulls can't figure out how to attack the zone more efficiently and earlier, the zone got them completely out of their game and what they wanted to do offensively. 3 different stretches in this game in which the Charlotte Hornets were able to close down that lead and look like they were going to take it over. And it was going to be another one of those games where the Bulls had a battle from a deficit down the stretch. Now, they didn't in this game. They were able to respond every time the Charlotte Hornets whittled that lead down. The Bulls were able to respond very well. But if the Bulls can't figure out, especially against a better defensive team, how to attack the zone, it's going to be ugly for the Bulls against great teams, especially in the playoffs when all the team is doing is really focusing on exploiting your weaknesses. That zone defense, they got to figure that out. And you saw Billy Donovan get frustrated in this game, calling timeouts when the zone was really giving them fits. They got to figure it out. They got to figure it out. The Hornets only going 8 deep into their roster this game. Only 3 players played off the bench at all, and those 3 players played well. 2 of those 3 players played very well. PJ Washington with 15 points, Aubrey with 18 points off the bench again. The Bulls going much deeper into their bench. Well, not by much, really. And Bulls going 9 deep into their bench in this game. Kobe White getting 22 minutes. What I was surprised about is that Io did not get more minutes than what he did, especially there was a stretch in there where Kobe wasn't playing good at all. Now, it's basically after I said that, I think Kobe hit a big 3. He got some free throws, ended up with 8 points in this game, but I was surprised that Io didn't get the call there, especially when it seemed like they needed a little bit extra defense. But with that all said, it all worked out in DJJ, as he has tended to do in a lot of these games, really playing well, not always showing up in the box score, but being active in this 15 minutes out there on the court. No Bradley, no Alize, no Troy Brown Jr., no Matt Thomas at all in this game. Becoming a trend for a lot of them. Specifically surprised we didn't see more of Bradley, but with the team and the way that the Charlotte Hornets were playing, you didn't really need size out there in this end. This was a game where the Bulls are going to get away and not be exposed as much for playing smaller down in the middle. So that all kind of made sense. But you guys are showing up. We're going to get to your comments as well. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the game itself. First one, this was a comment was left during the game. Lonzo versus LaMelo. Yeah, that's what we were all here for. I got my water this time. Last time I did a live stream, we went about an hour and a half, right? My voice was shot by the end of it. Preparing, I'm pacing myself better. So I will be taking more sips of my water during this live stream. The offense is unstoppable. Yeah, absolutely. Let me say this. they still need to figure out how to attack the zone better, right? Because the zone still gave them fits, especially when Vooch was off the bench. Vooch isn't going to be able to play heavy minutes all the time, so you want to be able to figure out a game plan against that zone. But if Kobe was shooting, because Kobe had some open shots, Kobe can very well be a zone buster if his shot's going. This was not a game in which his shot got going. We know Kobe's a very streaky shooter. So the Bulls have a path, right, to fix their issues with the zone defense. They just have to do it consistently. They have to figure it out. I apologize. Drunk that water a little bit too quick there. But absolutely, when Vooch plays like this, the Bulls are going to be hard to stop, especially when DeMar was hitting the shots that he was doing. Levine was playing again that calm, confident game, right? Not forcing it. He did get to the line, right? There were times where he got his calls, but Levine did not force it at all in this game. He played with that confident demeanor, hit the shots that were given to him, and really let the game come to him. And it asserted his dominance when the Bulls needed a big bucket. And he didn't shoot efficiently from three this game, only 2 for 7 from the 3-point range. You got to think if a couple of more of those go down, the game opens up a little bit more. Vooch, DeMar, and Levine all being over 20 points or even near that 20 points, the Bulls are always going to be dangerous. Add into that Lonzo 4 or 5 from 3-pointers, playing with a lot of intensity, especially on the defensive end. While LaMelo did have 18 points, let's look at how he got those 18 points. 5 for 15 from shooting overall, 3 from 8 from the 3-point range, and 5 for 6 from the free throw range. This is what I called for in my pregame preview, is that Lonzo was going to frustrate LaMelo. Absolutely. He was going to get in his head. And if he's able to do that, you really can disrupt a lot of what the Charlotte Hornets doing. The Bulls did what great defensive teams do. You try to slow down the best player as much as you can. You force everyone else to beat you. That's why we get the big games from Rozier. That's why we get the big games from Gordon Hayward, who's having a resurgence in his career, who's going into free agency. I'm not saying that we should sign Hayward because he doesn't necessarily solve all of our forward problems, but I wouldn't be mad if that's what happens. That's the story for another day, though. But the Bulls did the right thing here. They did the right thing here and what they needed to do. Good win for the Bulls. Nice to see. Absolutely nice to see Vooch, and wanted him to continue to build on that. Marco, 18 points, 7 rebounds with the Windy City Bulls tonight. Listen here. I have said that I'm going to try to watch as many Windy City Bulls games as I humanly can possibly watch. And thank you for tagging me in the tweets too with his highlights. But he keeps showing up like that and building. The point of Marco being in the G League is to build confidence, get used to the faster paced game, gain some weight, add some physicality, and then we'll see what we have in him next season coming in. But think about this, and it may be why the Bulls don't try to add another project, right, or a younger player. They may try to bring in a veteran to fix what we need at the 4 right now. Because next year you have Patrick Williams, if he can get back on track, stay healthy, right, and play with a little more assertiveness, and add Marco to that, a Marco whose body is probably going to be completely changed by the start of next season. A lot of those issues for us go away that we have down low. That's all I'm going to say with that. 2 tough games on the East Coast. Absolutely. This is the week, right? This can be a whole bounce back week for the Chicago Bulls. We lost, 3 or 4 last week, dropped down in the NBA power rankings from 4 to 9, I think. I may be a little bit off on those numbers. But this can be a bounce back week for the Bulls. But they continue to play like this, get back on track, win a lot of these games. Bulls are going to be back on track, and we trust the Bulls to get back on track regardless, whether it's this week, whether it's next week. They're going to get back on track. This was a great first step in that as well, though. Great first step. Great game. Got a little word towards the end, but exactly. And the thing is that while the Charlotte Hornets aren't a great defensive team, they're really good. I talked about top 5 in the league. I think a top 10 definitely in offense in the league. You don't really have that many teams above them offensively that can make you pay better. Now, of course, if we're against a team that's better on the defensive end as well, this game could have really gotten out of hand, especially in the beginning of that fourth quarter when Charlotte went on that run. But this is how you want to see your team play. This is how you want to see them respond. The Bulls are not the Lakers. They hold on to leads. Well, we've definitely lost leads. So I get what you're saying. We gotta stop with every game reaction acting like we haven't watched. The Bulls absolutely lose leads. They've lost leads in almost every game, even the ones that they've won. They've lost leads at some point. So the Bulls do absolutely lose leads, but it's good that they held on to this one. Sometimes, yeah, I believe that's a response to that. The Nets are vulnerable. The Nets absolutely are. I think really, if you look at the East, yes, you have the teams that are absolutely favored in the East, right? But the Bulls keep playing defense, increase that offensive efficiency. Like I said, get a little bit better on how they attack the zone. While the other teams may be favored against the Bulls in the playoffs, the Bulls can win. And I really do think this. They can beat any team in the East in the playoff series. Just depends on the adjustments. Billy Donovan, I've talked very heavily about his lack of adjustments at times. This game seemed to not be the case. When the Charlotte Hornets went on runs, he called timeouts. The Bulls came out of those timeouts and played much better. He was calling adjustments in this game, and I'll continue to watch that. And I have no problem backing off my stance that he hasn't been making great adjustments so far this season. If it continues to go the way that it did this game, and they show that they can do that. It's just me, or do you think Billy at times waits a little too long to bring Zach back in when the opposing team is making their run in the beginning of the fourth? Well, here's the thing, right? The Bulls are a great defensive team. So, with that being said, and Zach played great defensively as well too. We need to start more often. Let me not say we. I need to start being and giving Zach his fair shake on defense. Like I think I take for granted the fact of how improved he is on defense, but you can't rely at all on Zach. The Bulls do need to learn how to respond to leads, how to respond to runs defensively when their best player is off the court. They need that. It's like I said, the way that I like to look at this team is in the scope of playoff, right? We are a playoff team with aspirations for more. So that's how I judge that. You can't constantly go to just Zach LaVine and it all be on his shoulder to stop a run or to respond with scoring to a run. These other players need to learn how to do that. And they're learning that, right? We forget that this team has only played 22 games together, right? For the most part. Completely brand new team from the start of last season. So you do want them to learn that as long as you're not giving up the lead. Sometimes you do need to let players stay in there and soak up that. That's how they're going to learn, right? I think it's very much like with teaching with anything. Sometimes we get so caught up in not wanting to fail, right? That we forget that in the failure, and I don't mean by failure, I don't mean losses. I just mean in failing to respond to runs, in failing to defend certain possessions. That's where the growth opportunities are. That's when you can go back and show those players tapes and show them what they should have done versus what they actually did. So no, I don't think we need to automatically go back to bringing LaVine in when we have long runs. You need to allow those players the opportunity to fail in those cases so that they can be better for us down the stretch in an important season and a playoff run. That's my opinion on that. Not saying that is how everyone should think. That's just my opinion on that topic. Think we will see games like this more often now. I think we've started, right? Even before the COVID thing, he was starting to improve, right? It's slowly but surely. And this is what I was saying when Vooch was playing bad. Just having Vooch out there improves the spacing on offense because he's a threat to go off. We saw it tonight. What he hit 5 or 6 threes tonight? And bring the stats back up. He was 6 for 6 from 3-pointers. The thing is that even when Vooch's shot was not falling, teams knew he had that ability. So yes, added confidence is always helpful for scorers. Vooch is a scorer. To see the ball go in the basket, this is something for him to build on. But there's going to be other stretches in the season where Vooch probably isn't the best for 3, 4 games or whatever. It's how the other team responds to, but you have to trust. We have an all-star center. He's going to figure it out. We're going to have more good than bad Vooch over the course of the season, but there are going to be times where Vooch has his down games and his down stretches. It's going to happen for every player. It's going to happen for DeMar at some point. I think he had like a bad couple of games back-to-back or lower output. It's going to happen for Zach in some games. It's going to happen for Lonzo. It's going to happen for everyone where they have bad stretches. It's how the rest of the team responds and is able to overcome that. And we were able to look at it. Before we were able to still overcome Vooch's slump as a team at the beginning of the season, and that's bodes well for this team overall. Imagine listen, I always say, if you took Javonte Green's heart and his mind and put it in Patrick Williams' body, that would be a dangerous ass player. And that's not to say that Patrick Williams isn't going to get there. I've said before, I think part of Patrick Williams' lack of assertiveness is his age, is who he's out there playing with. He's playing out there with veterans. Everything else, it's not also his role is not to be an offensive force yet on this team. But as his confidence builds and as we see more assertiveness from Patrick Williams, I do trust that we'll get there. But yeah, Javonte Green right now, keep in mind, Javonte Green is also 28, 29 years old. But a Javonte Green heart inside of a Patrick Williams, it's a dangerous ass player. That's what that is. 30 piece for Vooch. Yep, great game for Vooch. Efficient 32, right? That's the key thing, how efficiently he scored that 30. Vooch, 12 for 19 overall in the game. Already said 6 for 6 from 3 points, no free throws from him, but that is an efficient night. 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, only 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. This was a great game from Nikola Vucevic. Great game. Bulls also shooting 46.7% from 3 tonight. Right up there with the Charlotte Hornets, which saw 46.2. This was a good game for the Bulls overall, and a great game for Vooch. Great game for Vooch. Let me ask, what do you think will hurt the Chicago Bulls going into the playoffs? Not having White coming off the bench or not having the big man? I don't think it's either or. That's the thing. It's not either or. So this has become lazy commenting from Bulls fans. It's not you, Vincent. This is my frustration overall with Bulls fandom in general. Bulls fans have gotten so focused that they think that the route to improving the Bulls big man is only lies through Kobe White, and it's not. It's not. And even with that being said, again, the Bulls have fluctuated between 26th to 29th in bench scoring. There's not been a team that has been that low on bench scoring ranking that has made a significant run. If we're going to keep talking about the Bulls making a significant run, we got to stop just thinking that it's easy as what we just see. Kobe White is not the only route for us to improve the four. There is a perfect world. Let me not say perfect world. There is several routes in which the Bulls can go through to improve their four. The buyout market, trading our first round pick from Portland, several second round picks, trade exceptions, Troy Brown Jr.'s contract, considering that it's off the books next year. All of that, depending on if a team just wants to get rid of somebody, if they want to go in the full rebuild, the key to the Bulls improving their four is not just lays on Kobe White. And then let's even talk about this. Kobe White isn't playing great. He shows flashes. Unless a team just believes so much in the potential of Kobe White that they're ready to sell the foreign for him, you're not going to get what we need by trading Kobe White. Kobe White's trade value is probably the lowest that it's ever been, coming off a major injury, not playing great so far this season and consistently. It's not going to happen. Let me not say it's not going to happen. I'm not saying that Kobe White can't, nor am I saying he shouldn't be traded. But we got to stop being lazy and just thinking that, the key to it is trading Kobe White. Either we trade Kobe White or we're not going to fix the four. That's bullshit. There's several ways this team can improve that four and that big man rotation without trading Kobe White. And we got to stop being lazy in the way that we analyze that and think of the routes the Bulls can go to improve this team. This is why AK is in the role that he is and not us, because that's laziness. That's laziness. That's what that is. Big brother win again. Yep. Hey, he got in his head. PJ Washington, the exact type of player we could use at the four and as a backup five, and Charlotte wouldn't look to get rid of him, though. Hey, I said this on the halftime hangouts, which just randomly came to me to do. I'm going to try to do those more often. It was like 10 or 12 people in, but we had a great conversation. When the Bulls were looking to trade Lauri Markkanen, I would have loved if the Bulls could have traded Lauri Markkanen for PJ Washington. Maybe add in a second round pick. I would have loved that because he doesn't add a lot of rim protection. He adds hustle. He adds shooting at that four. But again, woulda, coulda, shoulda, hindsight. But yes, PJ Washington is really good. And he's been killing the Bulls literally since his first game in the league. Literally since the first game in the league. And dagger three, what a poetic ending after the refs. Listen, something has to be done about the way that the Bulls are being officiated. Specifically, it seems like it's starting to be targeted towards Lonzo, but still also with Levine not getting certain foul calls. Yeah, it's something. Do you think Kemba being out of the Knicks rotation is a benefit for us when we play them coming up? I mean, I would, off the top of my head, I can't remember what Kemba's output was when we played them. But again, if they move Kemba to the bench, it's because they think it's making the team better, right? So they're taking him out the rotation because he was obviously Tibbs thinks he's hurting them. So I don't know if that necessarily benefits us because in their mind, they're making the team better by not having him in the rotation. And if that's the case, I don't know. But I guess it remains to be seen. The Bulls can beat anybody, though. So will Patrick be a championship power forward next season, though, or even 2 seasons from now? It's not. Listen, again, that's not the way team basketball works. Everybody on a team doesn't have to be a killer. They have to play their roles. So if Patrick Williams can get back to where he was defensively, right, guarding the team's best player, having his head up, making smart basketball decisions, He absolutely. If you don't think that Patrick Williams can contribute to a championship team, I doubt how seriously you watch basketball. And again, I don't say that to be offensive, but realistically, we got to stop trying to over analyze. Oh, well, we can't win a championship if we have Kobe White and like they are. Again, the roles that they play on this team are so minuscule that yes, absolutely. If this team builds better, then yes. Come on, I want to stop answering these type of questions because they're starting to get ridiculous. We are so badly overreact. It's just like the people after the Magic game. Oh my God, I can't believe that we should have kept Wendell Carter because he scored. Look at how he killed us. When he's in the season, he's averaging 12 and 9, less than 1 block a game. But because he had a bunch of blockers against us, he's now magically the perfect player that we would have had. Wendell Carter is on the team with no aspirations, no anything. He should be playing better. And guess what? He's putting the same output he was putting in on a Bulls team. We got to stop overreacting to stuff as Bulls fans. Got to stop it. Who's the top seed on the East now, in your opinion? I don't know if there is a clear number one because everybody isn't in their final form right now. Everybody's still getting it. Like, yes, the Brooklyn Nets are back in number one. We're number 3. Washington's number 2. Miami's up there too. But I don't know if there's a clear number one that's so far ahead of it. Like, yes, you would like to think, especially with that DeMarcus Cousins signing, if he really comes and brings something for them. But I would like to trust that the Bucks, especially because they have Giannis, can get back into that number one position. But right now, everything is open. And depending on how things go over the course of the season, like if the Bulls make a trade for a considerable or bring in a considerable power forward, like I said, it doesn't have to be an elite player. It doesn't have to be a star player. It just has to be a player that brings the things that they need to the team. They're right up there with anybody else, in my opinion. Hornets is just a young team. They will give teams absolutely. They are a team that is playing better than what people expected them to. They're a team with great confidence in themselves. You can see it out there tonight, and the coach that trusts them. Right, to have a team that young and a coach that trusts them. Imagine how Boylen would completely ruin the confidence of the young players on this team. But they're playing great. They're playing great. They're going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough game for everyone over the course of this season. You can see Vooch winning the ball once he started going, and that's exactly why the rest of the team trusts and have faith in them. Great chemistry. Absolutely. Unselfish player. And let's not act like when Vooch, even when the shot wasn't out there, like I said, that he wasn't still having positive impacts in other ways. Vooch has played way better defensively than what we give him credit for. Not, like I said, not ever a great one-on-one player, but in the concept of the team defense, has been playing great all season. Agree. Definitely great. Dreams are reality. I don't know if we could beat the Bucks or the 76ers in the playoff series. 76ers are definitely going to give us fits, right? And that's if we don't improve. And it's about matchups. But again, even in both the games that the Bulls lost to the Sixers, they were in those games down the stretch in every single one of them. That's why I say I understand teams being favored over the Bulls, but I still give the Bulls the ability and credit to be able to beat anybody in this league. And they have the opportunity to. I think this is a great all-around game for Vooch. He took the open shots and hit them when they presented themselves, but he also made sure to make his presence felt absolutely, and that's what I was saying earlier, Jonathan Washington Jr. Great observations there, great observations. I'm a little worried when Zoe was shaking his right wrist after the steal. Hope he does. Man, listen. Yeah. It's and again, I have Bulls fandom PTSD when it comes to injuries. Somebody can post, hey, somebody has a ingrown toenail, they're just going to sit out this game, and I'll say, oh my God, the toe's going to get affected, they're going to have to get it amputated, we're going to be down. Like that's just where my mind goes to. So I definitely understand. Let's hope that's not the case, though. I feel the season is young. It's all about trusting each other. The Bulls have a lot of weapons. They will just get better. Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, they started off the season seeming more gel than what we expected coming into the season. I think because of that, the expectations rose initially, which they should have, right? Every time they play good, and with the way they started the season, our expectations from the beginning of the season should be much higher. But the thing that makes this Bulls team so dangerous is they're still figuring it out. They're still figuring out chemistry. They're still figuring out how to work together. And that makes it even more dangerous, especially when you add somebody who's getting big minutes, like Kobe White, who hasn't played with these people before. On top of that, Io, right? If we do, even if we're talking about this Kobe versus Io thing on who should get more minutes, Io's still a rookie. He's going to get better over the course of the season, you would hope and that you would think. And that's going to continue to make this team just scary Scary. That's the best comment so far today. Best comment so far today. We have a lot. We have so many weapons. Absolutely, so many weapons. DeMar back-to-back 20-point, 50% games. Vooch has only had one bad game back. Otherwise, he's looked much better. His Bulls have had two really good games. Also, DeMar and Zach locking up all-stars. Listen, I said that earlier in this. Zach LaVine's defense, his one-on-one defense is improved. His team defense is improved. His awareness defensively has improved. Zach is trying to earn that max contract. Definitely trying to earn that max contract. And then even you said Bulls have had two really, really good games. Like even the game against Miami was a good game overall. They just didn't come out on top of it. The Bulls have really put together three really solid games back to all in a row. And the way that they played and have had better ball movement. They're going to win some, you're going to lose some, especially in the playoff atmosphere game like against Miami. But the Bulls have been playing really good, and they seem to have taken those two losses that they suffered back-to-back and really taken a look and evaluated themselves and come back with better game plans, better trust in one another, better ball movement, and those things are key. I'll tell you what, there were some shots, and even that Javonte Green at one point had an open three, made a move to get a even better shot for Alex Caruso, I think it was. This team is playing together again. They're having that ball movement, and it's looking like when the ball moves around like it does with the Chicago Bulls, considering the weapons that they have, dangerous team. If you add into that Kobe White actually hitting shots, woo, be on the lookout. When DeMar hit that one with the one hand, I did an Haize in real life. Listen, that is a lot of energy. I have this video recorded of my son, so like my son, my 8-year-old son, he's really into basketball now. He watches almost every game with me until bedtime. His bedtime is 9. He has to go lay down, so he really only got to watch the first half. But I tell you what, the energy in which he watches the game it reminds me of Joe Kim Noah because my son literally on the edge of every seat. I have to post that video on the podcast Twitter so you guys can see it at one point. Wish Billy would trust Io more when Kobe isn't performing great. I think Billy does trust Io. I think Billy is trying to get Kobe in rhythm because he knows how transformative Kobe can be for the bench, even if he's just scoring 14 points a game. This is Kobe's offseason. This is Kobe's preseason. So I think it's more about that and less about not trusting Io. And again, because the Bulls were able to respond even with Kobe not hitting the shots that he probably didn't feel the need to go in there. But I don't think it's a lack of trust in Io. I don't think that's it. I think especially when the other team was playing, the Hornets were playing zone. Like I said, Kobe has the potential to be a zone buster in the way that he can shoot, especially because they were guarding and doubling and triple down anytime DeMar or LaVine tried to penetrate. I think that, in the game plan of that, you ideally, you would think Kobe can hit that three better than Io can. But at some point, right, if it keeps going this way where Kobe really isn't shooting effectively, we need to start seeing those opportunities go to Io, regardless if we're trying to get Kobe in rhythm or not, because Io he's just a player. He just makes plays and he makes right plays out there. He makes a lot of mistakes too, rookie mistakes, but you do want to see Io out there. Great confidence, Vooch. And this is the thing. I don't really think Vooch's confidence was ever down. I think he's a player. He's a veteran in this league. He's gone through slumps before. Now, yes, this team has more focus on it. This team has higher aspirations probably than what he did on almost any team he was on Orlando. But I don't necessarily think Vooch's confidence was ever shaken. Those shots were going to start falling. His teammates trusted him. Those shots were going to start falling at some point for him. I live in Charlotte. Already got my tickets on the January for the Bulls rematch game. Listen here, that's a hot ticket. I would love to be at that game. I'm telling you, I want to see Charlotte versus the Bulls in the playoffs so bad, so bad. Kobe's still playing shook and much better. Kobe isn't playing shook. Kobe is not aware. Like, these are the same things that Kobe doesn't still trust his body, have a major shoulder injury. It takes time. I don't think Kobe's playing shook. You saw Kobe moving around out there, probably better on the defensive end than we saw from Kobe in a long time. He had his head up. Now, he did get lost a lot of times on defense too, right? And he was exploited some. But I don't know if it's necessarily shook. I think Kobe's just working himself back in the rhythm. I think there will be 4 Bulls in the NBA. Listen, if the Bulls have 4 players in the NBA All-Star game, the MVP has to come from the Chicago Bulls. That's up there for the elite of the elite team. So correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm just off the top of my head. If we're saying 4 All-Stars from the Bulls, we're talking DeMar, Zach, Vooch, and Ball. I think we're doing it again. one of the things that I pointed out, right, and not to compare them as players, because I think Lonzo has way more offensive potential than what Rondo had at that point in his career. But for a player who's not scoring effectively, if we're talking about Lonzo making an all-star team, you have to almost be averaging double-digit assists, and Lonzo's not doing that. So I don't know. Not that I'm saying that Lonzo doesn't have all-star potential, or I don't believe that he's going to make an all-star game at some point. I just, when you look at like what it takes for a non-scoring point guard nowadays to make the all-star game, it takes, like I said, those double-digit assists, high number of steals, and everything else. We'll see though, right? Because Lonzo does have a big following, so we'll see. We'll see. Are you taking Warriors or Suns tomorrow? Warriors. I'm not betting against the Warriors. I think that I'm not going to bet against the Warriors at any point right now. But that's going to be a good game. That's going to be a good game. Finish at the basket zone. Good game though. If I'm telling you, if Lonzo starts getting effective around the basket, it's going to be dangerous. I don't know why coaching staff holds a roster spot for Matt Thomas and not bringing up Marco T. Cook. AK probably wanting to make. Well, see, here's the thing. Marco and T. Cook need to be in the G League. Marco needs to be in the G League. Considering everything coming from Europe, he needs to add size. He needs to get used to physicality. Marco does not need to be on this main roster other than if it's due to major injury or something like that. If Marco Simonovic gets on this main roster consistently, something has gone very, very wrong in the Bulls season. That's just my opinion. Now, Matt Thomas, you can always cut and free up a roster spot. So with things like that, I think, do the Bulls still have an open roster spot as well? So yeah, I mean, trades probably definitely coming at some point, a move, whether it's, like I said, signing someone from the buyout market, something's coming for sure. But you don't want to just bring in Marco and T. Cook because of that while the Bulls are winning. Like I said, something's gone very, very wrong if Marco is on the main roster during anything other than like a brief injury or anything. Lonzo's impact is way greater than LaMelo for winning basketball, even if the box score. We've already said that. I say that all the time. Lonzo's impact is so much more than just what shows in the box score. And that's why I understand why people want Lonzo to score more, why they want Lonzo to average more assists, because those are the easy, tangible things. The harder things to analyze, the harder things to really appreciate is what he does in the game that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, right? The pass before the pass, how he moves, how he's talking to players. Like I said before, there was a game where I caught something and I just watched it for the rest of the game. Go back and really look one game on Lonzo, how often he's talking and pointing at his teammates, how he makes Zach a better defender with how much he talks to Zach, how much he calls out what the other team's doing on defense. Lonzo is amazing, and it's not always going to show up in the stat sheet for Lonzo Ball. I need to see a Zoe poster dunk before the end of the season. You'll probably get one. I trust that we'll get one. We almost got one tonight, right? Yeah, I think we almost got one tonight. Imagine Levine, DeRozan, Lonzo, Vucevic all in rhythm. It's going to be beautiful basketball, right? Regardless of any of that. All of those players can pass. All of them can score. All of them can shoot. That's beautiful brand of basketball. That's why I say, like, people who think that the Bulls need to get a star at 4, even a player with like star potential, they don't. They need to get a role player who blocks shots, rebounds very well, specifically on the offensive end, can hit an open shot because they're going to get open shots. Imagine the shots that Javonte Green gets, which he does pretty good at, but a player that is a more consistent threat of shooting, replace that with Javonte Green. That is a dangerous. Like, for example, I know we were just talking about it as well. Washington from Charlotte, replace Javonte Green with him and his shooting ability. That's a zone buster right there. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining the live stream as well. Thank you so much for that. Miami game was the one that I was talking about. Oh, okay. I didn't know. I just wanted to make sure. Just came out of the wrong game, but it was a good loss for them. I mean, absolutely. And those are the games you're okay with your team losing, right? One of those near perfect game in terms of points spreading around. Our three top scorers scored over 25. Lonzo and Caruso hitting shots. It was crazy that Kobe was off. We hung 130. We're good. Agree there. The white ball section. Come on, man. The Balzac thing. I hate so much of that thing stuck, man. Like, that's crazy. I think the Bulls seeing Caruso cut in the middle during the zone made the Bulls realize that they have to collectively cut. And thank God for Caruso. Again, like leading by example. Yes, because Caruso cutting. If a play, and especially a player with like Zach's dribbling, Lonzo's dribbling ability, they can get in the middle of zone defense. They just have to know what they're doing. They have to do it with intention. Caruso, being a championship player, hopefully can show them that. I trust the Bulls' ability to figure out how to attack the zone better than what they have, because it's really put a halt on our offense in different stretches. Now we've come out of it this game, but that can really be dangerous against better teams. Hold on, take a sip of my water. Most times, DeMar's like the black hole. The ball goes into him and he doesn't. I don't I don't necessarily agree with that, right? I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. It does. I don't know about most times though, because the team, the ball's been moving out. Yes, and the stretch that we had where the Bulls were defaulting to ISO ball incorrectly and it sucked, yeah, absolutely more so then. But a game like tonight, I feel like the ball moved pretty well. And like I said before, I think I said this on Twitter, not on the show, is that a lot of the times DeMar's ISO ball that we see, I think is a design of the offense, because he has the ability to get to the line, especially when the Bulls are going through scoring slumps. That's a good way to get out of it. Not saying that that's the way the Bulls should play. They should always play freely with the ball moving. But when that offense and the shots aren't falling and it starts stalling, you do want a player who can just put their head down, get to the line, and get some points that way. We can hang with anybody once Vooch and Kobe get it really going. Watch out. The Bulls can be in there with anybody. They've been in there with anybody with Vooch playing bad and before Kobe White was available. So they can play with anybody. Io needs more minutes. Io needs more. He deserves more minutes, right? He absolutely deserves more minutes. There's only so many minutes that can go around. Like, let me look at the minute spread in this game real quick. Give me 1 second to get that pulled up. So you got to think DeMar scored 30. Played 34 minutes. Levine played 35 minutes. I have always said that I want to see both of them more so around the 30 to 32 minute mark, ideally, right? Especially in the game. If we didn't give up the lead, we probably would have saw that. That right there frees up 4 to 5 more minutes for Io right there. Again, Javonte Green also playing 36 minutes. He's historically played less than that. We get him back down to that 28-minute mark. There's minutes out here for Io specifically. Like in most teams, there wouldn't be, right? But in this team, there are minutes for Io, because one thing that we have seen that Billy Donovan does not mind playing 3 and 4 guards out there at a time. So because of that, there are absolutely minutes out there for Io. I don't know why he didn't get him this game. Get the likes up, people. I don't like asking for that because I do this because I love it, but I appreciate you guys so much for being in here, man. I need to take more. No, I just kind of broke down how we can get him more minutes. But I will say this, like, they're trying to get Kobe back in rhythm. I know some people have the mindset that they're trying to get Kobe straight value up, regardless of how you want to see it. If Kobe keeps playing like this, right, not good, not consistently, yes, those minutes absolutely need to go to Io. You want to try to get him, and I've said this before, and this is one of those things I'll stand on. It's going to be about a month to 6 weeks from the time Kobe came back until we really see what we have in Kobe and him getting comfortable. That's just the reality of it. After that, that month to 6 weeks, at that point, if Kobe's still playing like this consistently, where we're only seeing like maybe two really good games from Kobe every 6 to 7 games, all right, some shit needs to change at that point. The Bulls needs a 6 to 10 Javonte Green with a nice 5-foot float. Absolutely, I agree with that. It feels like it's been a while since Chicago Bulls had 2 days off. I read a stat earlier where they played like 11 games in like 17 days or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But yeah, Bulls have had a really long stretch of games. What player that you would like to add to this roster? I don't really get into that. I've said that before. Like, I feel like and I haven't done any. You won't see many on this YouTube channel where it's like, oh, well, the Bulls are reportedly interested in XYZ, unless it's reported by Woj, Shams, or somebody else that the Bulls are in advanced talks for somebody. I won't do a lot of those type of trade because they're clickbaity to me. I don't want to do that. I want to report on things that are more solidified, have better backing, especially as like a Bulls content creator now. And on YouTube, I see so many videos in my feed where it's like the Bulls are interested. They're going to trade for Jeremy Grant. Not a single person is actually reported on any real talks being done there. So I don't like to do those type of videos. Who would I like to see added to this roster? I've talked about Derek Favors. I think he can help some. Ideally, again, Thad, I would love to have Thad back. I would love to have Tice back. I would love to have those players back. We can't really get them unless they're traded to another team, then bought out. But with that being said, those type of players, honestly, like I've said this before, if you can get us a Taj Gibson in his prime type player, that's the type of player I want to see on this Bulls team to help shore up that four. Bulls versus Knicks on Thursday will be. This is going to be a fun game, a stressful game. Going to go live. Yes, I will be doing a live stream after that game. Probably do a halftime hangout as well. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, we're definitely doing that. Watching from Jamaica, thank you so much for watching me from overseas. I grew up not in Jamaica. I grew up in Italy and Germany, but I know how it is to be a fan of American basketball while you're living overseas and try to get those NBA games in. Pound for pound, Lonzo would like a word. Lonzo would like a word. If the Bulls get a player like Miles Bridges, they're coming out of the East easy. I don't know about easy. He definitely would help some. Bulls 95 and Bulls 9 have the same height roster. Yes, but it's a completely different league now, right? You can't really compare that. Height is one thing. It's not, and that's the thing. It's not just about height. It's about length, right? It's about length and ability. I think we focus too much on height. Players now play so much out of traditional positions because it's about more length and what you can do with that length than it is about height. For example, like Kobe doesn't play above his size at all because he has a shorter wingspan. DeMar plays hero ball too much. Again, I kind of address this. I don't necessarily think that it's hero ball. I think that is the design of the offense when the offense stalls because of his ability to get to the line. Play IO over Kobe. Kind of talked about that already. Does Zach deserve the Supermax? He can't get the Supermax right now. He hasn't qualified. You have to qualify for the Supermax. If he qualifies for the Supermax, give it to him. Right now, he isn't qualified for the max. He's going to qualify for the Supermax. Is he a max player? Absolutely, especially with this added defensive ability. Consider how he's playing, how he's shooting before the thumb injury, with the thumb injury, now that he's had some time to adapt to it. Zach is a max player. I don't question that at all. Fortunately, it's only one basketball. I don't know what that's really in response to. Cavs might be for real to win at Dallas tonight. Okay, yes, the Cavs have played better than what people have expected the Cavs to play, right? Specifically, their rookie, I'm escaping his name right now, is playing amazingly. But I don't know if what we're seeing with Cleveland is going to be something that is, they won 114-96, is going to be something sustainable. Their record's 11-10 right now, so they're playing a little bit above 500 basketball. I don't know how legit that is. I do think that they will play very well, though. I just don't know how legit, if we're saying using that word, that is, to be honest. What is happening here? Maybe having issues with the stream. Give me 1 second. I don't know if you guys can see me or not. My thing froze up here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. If my stream goes out, I'll be right back. What is happening? Come on, don't do this. All right, and just like that, I'm back. My bad, guys. Don't know what happened with the browser there. Let me get back up to the comments that we were on. Look at the ball, getting the ball to shoot a ball in front of. Listen, you're just trying to confuse me with that shit. Are Zone Caruso the best perimeter defenders in the NBA? I think so. Especially if you're talking about as a tandem. 4 guards and 1 big man game plan, Billy. IO versus absolutely is a good problem. Late but good win tonight. Getting Vooch heavily involved was great. Vooch played great tonight. Vooch played amazing tonight. Go Bulls. Absolutely the answer. Go Bulls. Jeff Assassin. When the Bulls get back into the playoffs, do you think they will go further than OKC did when Billy Donovan was their coach? I think it's possible. You're in the East, right? Instead of the West. The East, it seems to be more parity as of right now. Now, that may change over the course of the season. Of course, you have your teams that are projected to be better and whatnot, but that remains to be seen. I do think that the Bulls can go far. I've said it before. The Bulls can get to the Eastern Conference Final this year, depending on how things shape up, how they improve that 4 position, and how they continue to improve as a team over the course of the season. What do you think of the DeMarcus? The DeMarcus Cousins signings has potential, right? But DeMarcus, he scored like 10 points per game in what he played last year. It's just with with his injury, the thing that is dangerous, right, with him being on the Bucks is that they don't necessarily need to play him heavy minutes. They can really rest him on back-to-backs. They can play him 15 minutes a game if needed, more minutes if he just has the hot hand going. The Bucks are really in a position to preserve DeMarcus Cousins as best as probably any team in the league, especially Bobby playing great or whatever. They can really preserve his body and what they can do there and let him focus on what he does the best, alleviating some scoring pressure on the other players when needed if he can get going. But the thing is do you trust DeMarcus Cousins' body to hold up? I don't know. Rashard Holmes would be a really good addition to this Bulls team. Do you think this is a turnaround game for Vooch? I think Vooch has been turning it around. So I don't know if it's one guy. I mean, it's definitely his best game of the season, right? And you like to think that as the player and the veteran that he is, he's going to continue to be able to build off of it. But he's been turning it around slowly. Get the like. Thank you again, Matty Matt. You're supportive. I like that. Why are the Wizards so good right now? They're playing together, right? They're playing together. And let's not forget, they have a great player on the team. They lost tonight, though, but they have a really great player on their team in Bradley Beal. And they play together, right? Their scoring is very balanced between their starters, having a good point guard and Dinwiddie there. Gafford, his ascent that he's been able to show as a starting center. The Wizards have a pretty solid team. Now, are they going to stay number 2 in the East? I don't expect that. I expect them and the Bulls to probably drop at some point. The Bulls, again, depending on how they gel, could probably stay around that 3 or 4 area. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Wizards go into the playoffs as a 6 or 7 seed. Wouldn't be surprised with that at all. I'm afraid if the Bulls add another piece, the whole chemistry. The thing is, you have to trust the way that the Bulls have been able to play their chemistry. When you add one player, it shouldn't throw off the whole chemistry of a team that's dealt with injuries, a team that's dealt with adversity, a team that's dealt with losses, and everything else. The chemistry of this team is there. Adding one piece, it's not like they're going to be trading. If the Bulls do bring in something, I don't expect them to trade any of their major rotation pieces. Like I said, Kobe's been getting minutes. If it ends up being Kobe, again, they didn't have Kobe to start the season. If it ends up being Troy Brown Jr., that first-round pick, the trade exception, cutting Matt Thomas, and the combination of that, again, those are players who aren't really playing on this team. So I don't think that is going to throw off that. And don't forget, Patrick Williams can still return in the playoffs, right? He's just out for the rest of the regular season. Patrick Williams can still return, which I think we'd love to see. That's the thing. That's absolutely possibility. And I think we forget it now with the way that he played after the injury that he suffered. I don't expect him to come back and really be in rhythm just because he came into the season with the injury and couldn't get in rhythm fast. But having a Patrick Williams out there as a body, especially defensively, and what he can do, even if he comes off the bench, if that point of the Bulls trade for 4, Pat Will comes back in the playoffs, they don't want to throw off that chemistry, so they bring him off the bench. That even may be a better route to build his confidence and everything else and make him kind of even more dangerous to come off that. Hornets might have a pair of balls, but they don't got the ball sack. I hate that nickname, man. I hate that with so much passion. If LaMelo was on our team instead of Lonzo, would the Bulls be the best team in the league? No. LaMelo's good. LaMelo's going to be great, but Lonzo fits perfect. LaMelo needs more offensive shots, right? He demands more offensively. And while I think if LaMelo was drafted to this team, his role would have been different. But I think Lonzo fits his team perfectly for the fact that he can score but doesn't need score. LaMelo needs to score. And I think that difference is what makes this team work a little bit better, in my opinion. They have a solid team. Love what I'm seeing. Now we just need Kobe White to be consistent. Listen, if Kobe White can get to just his output last season, which was 14 points a game on 40% shooting, I think 39, close to 40% from the 3 as well. Listen, you got a player like that coming off. Again, drill this point home all the time. Bulls ranked 29th in the league in bench scoring. There's not been a team that made a significant run that ranked that low in bench scoring. It has not happened. It has not happened. And I'm not saying that they can't get other bench players, right? For example, if the Bulls made a trade to where they did include Kobe White, Troy Brown Jr.'s contract, the Portland Trail Blazers first-round pick, and in that trade got back, and these contracts don't work out, but I'm just throwing this out for an example, got back Christian Wood and Eric Gordon, and Eric Gordon was now our bench scorer. All right, fuck that. The Bulls are coming out the fucking East in that case. Now, again, that deal is probably not likely to happen unless Houston just says, fuck it, we are rebuilding. We're pushing everything on the table so we can get a high first round pick the next 5 years. But a trade like that, then yeah, trade Kobe White. I would rather have Eric Gordon right now for a contending team than a Kobe White. But Kobe's potential, right? And what we know that we could have in Kobe is really good if it works out. But potential is not always realized. It's not always realized. Championship pedigree as well as very experienced. Yes, we do have very experienced and good players. I believe we need more of a power forward than we need a center who plays. Yes, we need a power. It's a power forward, right? We don't need a center. I like I said before, I think that Tony Bradley Jr., right, is he junior? If we have a better four that can possibly play some five, especially almost anybody can play. If Derrick Jones Jr. is playing five, a power forward, even if he's just a power forward, is probably going to play some five on this team. But if we have a power forward who can rebound, block shots, hit open shots, not necessarily need to call for the ball on offense, but when he is called upon and gets open shots, can hit them, that completely opens up the team. Imagine what that does to the zone then, right? So there you go. Worried about Hachimura, fellow men from Asia. I think he'll be okay. It's going to be a problem for any team that has to play the Bulls out of 7 games. Don't care what. Absolutely. And that's why I say that. I'm not, and that's why I make the very clear distinction between saying that the Bulls should be favored, right? There are other teams that should be favored over the Bulls in the 7-game series. But the Bulls can win against any team in the 7-game series. Those are very different things to say. Were you able to grab one of those City jerseys before they sold? Yes, I did. I did get a City jersey. I got one for me and my dad. I actually got my shipping confirmation right before Thanksgiving that it should be here. I think December, I want to say 13th or 14th or something like that, which is like the week after my birthday. So that's all good for me. Yeah, I was able to get 2, one for me, one for my dad. I got in there. Luckily, had no problems checking out or anything. Kobe's looking more comfortable game. And that's the thing. I know somebody said earlier that Kobe was looking uncomfortable. I think Kobe was moving out there like I said, this was probably the most engaged I may have ever seen Kobe. Now, it doesn't mean everything worked for him defensively, right? Still got exposed. He still has liability there. But he was very engaged in this game. His shot just wasn't falling. It's going to be a problem for any team that has. Oh, yeah. I just clicked on that. My bad. I don't know if you left that twice or if I just clicked it twice. If Vucevic adds to his role as a third option, then the Bulls they're a really good team now. They were a really good team when Vooch was on the slump. The Bulls are a really good team, period. They become a more dangerous team when Vooch adjusts to that role. But they were a really good team before that. If they trade anyone, it's going to be Kobe, but that man will be averaging 20 in 4 years. But see, no, and I fight back against that mindset, right? It's become the easy thought that the Bulls need to trade Kobe. If the Bulls trade anyone, packaging a first-round pick with the expiring deal of Troy Brown Jr. can get you a power forward that can contribute to this team, depending, again, on if it's a team that's ready to sell assets, if it's a team that is thinking about buying out a player because he just wants to go, and if the Bulls offer that, they're absolutely taking that. So, I don't know. Troy Brown Jr., the way that he is played, right? It's funny that Kobe plays terribly, and then they think we're just going to trade Kobe White because he's been playing terribly. Troy Brown Jr. has had every opportunity to succeed. If we can trade a bad Kobe White, we can trade a bad Troy Brown Jr. It just depends on what else you need to package around him. I agree that it looks more comfortable, but nowhere near his form last year. The lack of explosiveness in his dribble is obvious, and he doesn't have extra gear and pick. Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. No, that's an honest observation. He doesn't, and that's why he's out there getting the minutes that he is to try to get him. And this is why I've been saying with Kobe White, it's going to take a minute. Like, again, from the date that he returned, a month to 6 weeks after that date before we really see what we have in Kobe White. Harrison Barnes would be that team's perfect. He's 6'9". Now, again, it's not about height, it's about length, but we saw what Harrison Barnes did contributing to a championship team, right? With being on the Warriors. Harrison Barnes does fit a lot of what we need. He brings intensity. I don't know how much he brings defensive-wise at this point of his career. I haven't seen a lot of him in the last few years, but Harrison Barnes is a player that I would love to have on this team. When you look at he could absolutely play for him. If you replace Javonte Green in that starting lineup with Harrison Barnes, that's a more dangerous player, I think. But again, that's not because what Javonte brings, he's going to bring whether he's starting it. Javonte has shown he's going to give us that whether he's in the starting lineup, whether he's on the bench. But if you bring in Harrison Barnes, and Harrison Barnes could also be a good player for Patrick Williams to learn behind, right? That's a good player for Patrick Williams to learn some things from. So all that in all, Harrison Barnes, I would not turn down being on this team at all. What team are not looking forward to playing again? I'm looking forward to every Bulls game. That's the thing. Regardless, even the Warriors that we got blown out again, I am excited to see when we play them again because I think that Zach and DeMar are gonna be looking for something to give their asses. So no, I'm every team. We need Marvin Bagley. Come on, man. Listen, Marvin Bagley has some skill. He has some. If we didn't have a young player already in Patrick, and again, if the Bulls can get Marvin Bagley for whatever, bring him into this team. I'm not at all saying I don't want Marvin Bagley, but we need Marvin Bagley. I wouldn't go that far. Prayers up for Ja. What happened to Ja? What I missed? What happened to Ja? What happened to Ja Morant? Somebody in the chat put in what happened to Ja Morant because I have been focused on Bulls. I have not paid attention. What happened to Ja Morant? Because I love Ja Morant. Trade Christian Wood, Kobe, Patrick. Listen, the Bulls are not trading Patrick Williams. We got to stop being reactionary. I'm telling you one thing right now. AK is not trading Pat. Take a snapshot of this, and if it happens, I will play this back and sit here and sing your praises. The Bulls are not trading Patrick Williams anytime soon. We don't need Vanderbilt. He would be a nice addition, but he doesn't answer. He's not the answer for us. He'd be nice to have, but he's not the answer. Can we acknowledge that LaVine scored 25 points and had great assist rebounds and only turned the ball over like twice while sick? Listen, the fact that he was questionable, he came in, like I said, LaVine, I don't know if his sickness contributed to that, but LaVine played a game that you want to see. He played a confident game, a controlled game, intentional game that Zach LaVine played tonight. Every basket that he took was intentional. Every time he dribbled to the hole was intentional. The free throws that he got, he knew he was going to try to get those fouls, and he moved out there very confidently. The way that LaVine scored in this game, not just the number, right? The way in which he scored is demoralizing for other teams, and it opens so much up for the players around him. Absolutely. We got the best commentators in the listen. I love the Bulls commentary team. To me, the biggest threat in the East Coast is absolutely for matchups. Now that can change depending on who or what the Bulls do. I think that could also change with the healthy Patrick Williams. Not saying nobody in the league is going to stop Joel Embiid, but if we can get someone in there who can frustrate him and get him out of that confidence, Joel Embiid is like the Bulls fucking. I don't know, man. He's our kryptonite. We need to figure something out. Never mind. I was going to say something that probably would have got my YouTube channel shut down. Never mind. If the Bulls were going to trade Kobe, they would have traded him during the offseason and they clean house. Kobe's here to stay, and that's what I believe too. And that's not to say that Kobe won't be, because the only untradeable players on this team are basically the starting lineup, like except Javante. But there's trades out there in which Kobe will probably be thrown. Like if somebody calls in and offers the Bulls a great deal, like the sticking point of this is Kobe, but it's literally what's going to get the Bulls in a championship contention, then yes, they're going to trade Kobe. But I fight back against the common thought that's become in most Bulls fans' minds that the key to us improving the four lies by trading Kobe White. And that's what I don't believe. There's several ways we can improve without trading Kobe White. What do you think about Montrezl Harrell being the big we pick up? Not sure how bad his contract is. He doesn't offer much with scoring wise, but he does offer about everything else that we need. So if it happens, I wouldn't be. And again, I say that we don't really need scoring, right? We need the ability to hit open shots, not necessarily somebody who's going to need for plays to be called for them. So he may. He went for these 30 points is crazy. And the way that the efficiency in which he scored that 30 points. Oh no, come on, man. And I was on this live stream, the last live stream I did, and talking about how like Ja Morant and his ascent is very comparable to like what a prime Derrick Rose would have been had the knee injury never happened. When you look at how he was continuing to progress, man, Ja Morant is one of my favorite young players in the league, man. I hope it's not significant. Someone else said it's a knee sprain. All right, cool. Let's hope it stays at that. Let's hope, because I'd be interested to see Caruso start. What he brings to the bench is too important. He was only starting to add in passing and spacing that we lost when Vooch was out. I don't. As long as the team's healthy, I don't see him starting anymore. If the Bulls want to be a championship team, Lonzo has to be the third best player on this team. So, no, we got to stop with all that. No, again, what Zoe does out there is so much higher than any stat that you just named. We got to stop only attribute like in a age where we have advanced stats, advanced metrics. We have to stop thinking that a player's ultimate contribution lies in the stat line. No, Lonzo does not need for us to be a championship team for him to average 17 points. Now, the 7 assists, 7 rebounds, I can get behind that. But the points, no, Lonzo does not need to be a featured scorer on this team for us to be a championship team. Now, I can get behind we need to run the offense more through Lonzo, that he needs to run more half-court offense. He needs to play a more traditional point guard role. But that scoring aspect, no, he does not need to be a big-time scorer, even a 17-point-per-game scorer for the Bulls to be a championship team. He does not need to be that at all. That's not what we need. He's played with back injury. AK drafted him knowing about the back issues. Yep. I mean, that was the thing, right? That was the thing that kept him from. If he didn't have those back issues, we probably would have drafted him. If not, he would have probably been in that top 3 of that draft. The back issues and the not only just having back issues, but the fact that it seemed to be an issue that was probably going to be chronic over the course of his career is what held him back. That's what the issue is. What do you think about playing Vooch and Bradley at the same times when we're playing healthy big team? The only issue with that is what happens then when you go to the bench, right? Because the Sixers have a pretty big bench lineup as well for their big. So, that issue. And then also, what does that do with spacing? The thing is that all right, I see what's happening now. What's happening is I have too many windows open. They're trying to pull stuff up. So that's what's happening to me. I apologize that we lost the stream again. So I'm not going to do that anymore. But yeah, I don't think that's the answer. I don't think that's the answer. Who would you rather have? Ball, Thies? Like ball, no, because again, I've said this before. He is going to always have injury issues. When you look at his body shape, the length, the size, players of that have always had major injury issues. And again, he's a project. We don't need that. Tice is the one that I would pick. No, I didn't see Thaddeus. In a perfect world, if salary, nothing else was the issue, I'd say Christian Wood. Just because of his age, the fact that then he can be on this team as we rise as well, everything like that. Next would be Thaddeus. After that, Tice. Those would be probably my top 3. And out of those options that you presented there, he did not play hero ball tonight. He killed us last game. A lot of things killed us last game. I wouldn't say he killed us because we were still in that game. Cookies. I don't get the reference to that. Joe will be fine. Minor needs. Okay, good. Alex Caruso needs to start because when he's in the game, the team play. No. What are you watching? What? Okay, again, like sometimes you can see my mic. Sometimes as fans of basketball teams, we get so caught up in like all of our best players need to be out. No, he's on the bench because without him being on that bench lineup, when our starters go out, we suck ass. No, Caruso does not need to start because of what he brings on both sides of the ball. We need off the bench because that's what helps us get games. That's basically what gets us any types of bench scoring right now is his ability and what we do as a team defensively, specifically what he does with stealings and getting turnovers and getting us out in transition. No, he does not need to start. Well, Cousins signed to the Bucks. I don't know if you're aware of that, but he signed to the Bucks. Yep. Thank you for that. Tired of trade talks, LOL. Win or lose, everybody wants to. Absolutely. And that's one thing, like, and this with basketball fans in general, right? This isn't exclusive to just Bulls fans, but players have a good game, we need to trade for them. Players against on another, like the Wendell game. Oh, we shouldn't have traded away Wendell when his season averages suck ass. Like we need to stop being reactionary. This is why having that front office that is not because those are the type of moves that we would have expected from Paxson, right? Is inform and is reactionary trades. This is why it's good that we have a front office that is, I believe, right, that is close to the vest as AK and Eversley play things. As much trade talk speculation that we can give, when they do finally make a deal, it's probably going to be the perfect deal, and it's going to be a deal that none of us thought about. And we're going to sit back and be like, huh, that's why it's great to have a good front office now. Hornet win, Warrior win. What? Stop smoking. Stop smoking. You got some good stuff over there. That long toothless rubber shot with one hand being blocked was, oh yeah, that shit was beauty. That was a beauty though. I think it's back up now, right? Back up. Like I have too many windows open, so that was killing my computer. Which this is a custom built PC, but I know why. It's because I was editing a video for this film that I'm doing, and that's still up, and that's what's really bogging down my memory because it's still exporting. I thought it was going to be done over the course of the game, so that's what's going on here. Bleacher Report posted some possible trade offers, and it's pretty interesting. Spurs get Kobe, and we get Lonnie Walker. Bleacher Report is getting so bad. Raptors get Kobe, and Alizé and Bulls get. That's one of those fantasy trades. That's one of those trades somebody put in, and because it worked in the trade machine, that they decided to report on it. Are we giving up on Bradley Jr.? I feel like he was getting into a groove. I like Bradley, and he does, like, he makes some very bad mistakes. Like, there are times where he gets the ball in perfect position where all he has to, with his link, all he has to do is go up, and somehow he either drops it, he loses the ball, they rip it from him. We need more aggression from him, but it did seem like he was starting to work it around. Is getting paid only 14 mil. Keep in mind, so for the Bulls to trade for a player that salary is 14 mil, that means Kobe, Troy Brown Jr. just at a base, right? I'm not looking at everybody's contracts, and that's just to get in the door. No, that's not happening. That's not. I mean, again, if it does, okay, fine, but I don't think that's happening. Again, I really do think that the Bulls aren't going to look for a long term power forward because they trust Patrick Williams. That's what I think that they're going to do. That's not necessarily what I think is right. That's just saying where I think where the team's going to go. And I think we are so focused on like thinking about this youth thing and contract thing that that's why I think it's going to be more the buyout market, or if it is, it's going to be an expired contract deal. But we'll see. We'll see. No cap. Taco is nice. Taco Fall. Caruso is not a starter. Trust me. Once he is a starter, he's not the same player. He just doesn't have the same impact. Well, no, I think he can have a similar impact. You would have to run more through him. Again, he's not scoring a lot on this team, regardless if he's on the bench or not. He has some games, but what he brings to the bench is important. And I think, especially when you have a fairly young and inexperienced bench as well, like a lot of our bench players haven't played heavy minutes. Like Derrick Jones Jr. is probably the next one up. But haven't really contributed. Troy Brown Jr. hasn't played very many games in his career. Alizé Johnson isn't playing very much here, but hasn't played a super amount of NBA games as well. People need to stop the trade talks. Just think about who's getting bought out when the time comes. I mean, you can do trade talks, but it is what it is. Billy's coaching is cool, right? It's not perfect. He makes some things that he does out there, like I said, with lack of adjustment so far this season. Now, this game wasn't a problem in that, but some of those things are kind of questionable and do raise some eyebrows for me from time to time. Two-part question. How come Zone D is giving us so many problems? Two, Billy Donovan's coaching, in-game adjustments, grading, and how Billy playoffs, I can't really speak to right now because we expect it to be some additions to this team. Zone D is giving us so much trouble is easy because we have our offense mainly comes from two players. It comes from Zach. It comes from DeMar. And they like to get in the lane. And when you do that, especially when the Bulls haven't shot the best, right? They have those cold stretches. So when that happens, it makes the zone defense easier to guard and easier to affect us and throw us off. But Vooch playing, and again, it doesn't have to be 30 points per night, but Vooch being consistent in the middle, bodying players up and things like that is going to make it easier to bust that zone. Nice video on our third quarter struggles. Glad we didn't fall into that tonight. Absolutely. That was one of the things that I was looking for. Now, we did fall into struggles early in the fourth where we had a good third quarter. I was like, oh, we got that. Look, we had a 20-point lead. We're going to win this game. And then they battled back to begin that fourth quarter. The Bulls were able to battle back. So we got to get that consistency. Who's the best dunk? I mean, Zach LaVine's the best dunker. Like he's shown. If we're just talking about, you're just talking about ability to do dunks, it's Zach LaVine. If you're talking about best in-game dunkers, probably still Zach. But Caruso's good. DeMar's good at times. Javonte Green, it's every game Javonte Green looks like he's going to get a poster, right? But something happens, he gets fouled or whatever else. Yes, he fits this team. Why are you asking that on a game where the dude literally played a perfect game almost? Jones and Kobe match Wood's contract. I don't want to give up Derrick Jones Jr. though. That's the thing. I think that Derrick Jones Jr. is being able to play in a better position. I think Derrick Jones Jr. as much as he's been playing, he's playing some 5. Keep in mind that I don't even think he's necessarily 4. If he can play more minutes at the 3, some minutes at the 4, I think we get a much better version of Derrick Jones Jr., especially when his shot's falling. I wouldn't want to give up Derrick Jones Jr. because who else do you have that's going to fit his thing? Haize has not been trusted on this roster at all. I guess, if you're talking about Patrick Williams coming back in the playoffs, I don't know. Shout out the Bahamas. Shout out to the Bahamas. Caruso may not be started, but he plays started minutes. He's like a low budget Ginobili with his impact. Oh, he's always going to get started minutes. Love watching your videos. You be making a lot of sense, bro. I started this like I am a Bulls fan through and through, and I have my moments where I want to let my fandom take over and just say some big time fan type shit, like really that's just batshit crazy. But I really want, when I decided to do this project, I said I have to report on the Bulls objectively, honestly, and I have to be accountable to the positives and the negatives. I want to talk about everything. So with that being said, like I really do try to cover them in a way to talk about the team, to be fair to the team, but also call out some bullshit. And the Bulls have their negatives. They have their shit that they do that is just like, look, what the fuck are y'all doing? And you're going to get that here. I'm not one of those Bull fans that are going to be blind to anything at all. That's just not me. I'm not going to be blind. I'm not going to fall to a lot of traps of just being a fan. I'm not going to do that. That's why I don't do the whole I talked about earlier. This is why I don't do the Bulls are reported to be interested in such and such trade videos. You will never get those from me. Now, like I said, Woj, Shams, ESPN report the Bulls are in trade talks with such and such. They're in advanced trade talks. I'm going to do a video on that. But I'm not going to do a lot of these speculation videos. I like the integrity of my channel, even if that means that I have, because believe me, I see the video, the clicks that the videos get. It's like the Bulls are reportedly going to trade for such and such. I see the clicks that those videos get, but it's not worth the integrity of my channel. It's just not. It's not. You won't get clickbait from here. I may make clickbait thumbnails, but I won't make clickbait videos at all. Bigger need, power forward, or more. No, because I think the answer to our bench scoring is on this roster if he starts getting his shit together. I think we have the answer to the bench scoring. I think the power forward is the bigger need right now. Again, but like I like to keep pointing out, Bulls have ranked between 20. I think they've gotten as high as 26 to 29th in bench scoring in the league. I keep giving this, and nobody's find me a team that has made a significant run that's bench scoring is ranked that low, and I'll give up the whole thing of why the Bulls don't need to trade Kobe White. What do they lacked experience? I really truly think that you take the same team, right? If nobody no trades, no nothing from this team, if you take the same exact team, give them 2 more years of NBA experience, they probably would have won this game tonight. And I think that they wouldn't have given up that when they came battling back out and more experience with their zone defense. I think they probably would have beat us. And I know that may sound crazy to say over how the margin that we won this game in. Again, I'm talking about this current Bulls team with the same exact Hornets team with 2 to 3 more years of NBA experience. That's a lot tougher of a game for the Bulls to pull that lead back when they allow the team to go on that type of run. Greetings from Uganda, my brother. You're doing your thing. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I love you guys, man. I really do. What was your favorite takeaway from tonight's game? That Vooch, when he's scoring, is crazy, right? I think it's been such a long time since we've seen a dominant game from Vooch that we can forget how effort. And I used to say this in videos before the season that sometimes it's easy to underrate Vooch because when he gets going, he makes everything look effortless. Like you look up, he's 5 for 5 from 3-pointers. Like, honestly, I remember him hitting a couple open ones, but that is how effortless Vooch makes it. And when you have a big that can do that, when you force the other team's big to come away from the inside, right? The reason the Bulls are bad with offensive rebounding, with the percentage is that they get of that. But if you take that big and make them go out to the perimeter to guard Vooch, everything else opens up. Missed out on Jay McGee. You're not wrong. I think I just answered that. Let me know if that didn't quite answer your question, because I think you asked that earlier. You worded it a little bit different, but I think I did answer that. I repent. I feel it. It's crazy, but not at the same time. The Ball brothers were evenly matched, to be honest. Those two are absolutely, absolutely. And I've said before, LiAngelo's if he ever ends up being an NBA player, right, a solid one. I like the comparison they made in the game of saying how Seth Curry had to kind of go away, rebuild his game, add to his game, and then come back and find a role. Also, when you look at somebody, if somebody as bad as Cameron Payne can go away and come back and be a contributor to a team at the level he was to a team's championship run or attempt at a championship, anything's possible. LaMelo has a lot of raw skill, but when you look at somebody undrafted, the fact that he's been on a couple NBA teams right now and they haven't seen something in him, I don't think that it's anything with LiAngelo that teams are sleeping on him. I think it's just the answers are in him. He needs to go away, add something to his game, and maybe. But I'm sorry, that wasn't even your question. But yeah, the two Ball brothers are great. I wouldn't be surprised. Let me not say. I would be surprised if they win a championship. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bulls make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And like I said, because I can see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals and that they can beat anybody, I can absolutely see them making a championship. I'm thinking of somehow the Sixers trade for No, listen. Okay, I want to answer this without seeming like an asshole. Just salary wise, if we're talking Ben Simmons trade, DeMar, Levine, or Vooch have to be included in the trade just to match salaries. The Bulls aren't trading any of those. That's just to match salaries, right? It's not happening. The Bulls can't trade for Simmons, and I really do think with Lonzo on this team, the Bulls don't need to trade for Ben Simmons. Now, of course, if for some reason the Sixers decide we just want to get rid of Ben Simmons, anyone who can give us a first round, even then, there are teams that are going to offer and give more than that. We don't need Ben Simmons. Yep, agreed. No, that doesn't. The salaries don't even begin to match. Don't even begin to match to be able to get that. So no, that's not happening. Vucevic needs to redeem himself. What? Good night. I think we need a power forward center that can move. We've kind of talked about this. We do need a power forward who can do some things defensively, hit open shots. We've talked about this a lot. And I don't say that to be a butthole king, Austin. I just, with the live stream, I try to maximize on the time that I have with it. And I did answer that earlier in the live stream. I responded exactly to that. Need tighter chemistry and fast break scoring, not enough passing. Only say that because we have two dunk champs and great passers, should be more highlights. Well, highlights don't necessarily equal wins, right? Think back to the Lob City Clippers. They had a lot of great highlights, but it didn't translate to wins. At the end of the day, a dunk is worth 2 points. So highlights don't equate to wins. We don't need highlights. We need great and efficient scoring and offense. We got that tonight. I don't necessarily think we need highlights. The Hornets don't have a center, so it was barbecue chicken for Vooch. Yeah, absolutely. Like Marc Gasol on defense. If Zach adds a post game to his bag, the Bulls. Listen, and that's the thing. Zach LaVine is added to his game. He's going to absolutely add a post game, but it may not be until he's halfway through his 30s. Like when you look at like Kobe, we had a solid post game, but players add to the post as they get older, and that he I trust that he's going to add that absolutely. Thoughts on two possible first round picks next draft position needs? No, because I think by next year, I hope that the Bulls are contenders, right? Are near that contending level. And I don't think that you often you see teams going to the next level of being able to contend for a title based off rookies. So I think the Bulls, if they have those two first round picks, if they're as close to contending as what we think they can get to, they need to just draft for best available, because they may be trade assets, they may be whatever else, and really fix what we need. Because think about it this way. The Bulls, and I've said this before too, the Bulls have to be at the top of any power forwards list of teams. I'd just like to believe that. Even next year in the offseason, they'll probably be willing to accept the mini mid-level. They maybe accept the full mid-level, veteran minimum or whatever else. There are going to be players that are chasing rings that really can probably look at that Bulls team and say, I can help them get closer to the title, and that's going to help me. So I don't think that they necessarily need to try to fix their contending status with next year's draft. They need to draft best available, make any moves that they can, and I think that's the route that we go. How many All-Stars? 2. DeMar and Zach. Like I've said this before. For Lonzo, with not being a scorer, for what he needs to do to get to be an All-Star is average over 10 assists a game. That's not going to happen in a team where they don't run the half-court offense through him. Again, that's not to say he doesn't have offensive potential. That's not to say that I don't think he becomes an All-Star while he's on the Bulls. But it's not gonna. I don't think it's going to happen this season. Vooch, if he gets back on track and plays like this, probably will be an All-Star. But yeah, I think for sure we're talking DeMar and Zach being all-stars on this team this year. Yeah, we kind of already talked about that. When Vucevic gets going, the isolation ball gets canceled out. I like it. I mean, it's not even just about him getting going. It's about people hitting shots. He hit his shots tonight. How do you feel about DeMarcus Cousins? I mean, I said this before earlier. It's remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. Kind of talked about that as well. Bulls' next 4 out of 5 games are going to be tough, but if Vooch and team can play with the defense of ourselves ball, we got it. And that's the thing. I've said that over the course of this. The Bulls can beat anybody in this league. Any ball. Warriors and Sixers, I can understand anybody saying, well, we need to see the proof of that first, but I do think the Bulls can beat anybody in this league. No, again, Haize has to not be grasping offensive or defensive rotation concepts. He has to be not doing something out there. Yes, he brings energy. Yes, he brings activity on the boards, but there has to be a reason why he's not being played. That's all I got for that one. I'm just going to leave that there because I think everyone knows the response to this. Bulls are contenders from your mouth to God's ears, Josh Jackson. The ball sack, man, listen. DeMar has to be stopped. He almost single-handedly sold the lead with. No, we have to stop trying to blame everything on one player who's not. No, the Bulls almost gave away the lead because of their whack-ass defense. It's not just because of DeMar stopping the ball. That's not at all why the Bulls almost gave up the lead. Do you feel we need one more person who's been in the playoffs games to help us win the playoff times? I think we need a player who can contribute and who's confident and who has a defined role, fits in that role. I don't think it necessarily has to come from somebody who has been in a lot of playoff games. Now that absolutely would help. That's why earlier in the stream where somebody mentioned Harrison Barnes, I do like that idea a lot. Kobe makes too many bad shots. We talked about this already. No offense, Jason Lee, but we kind of talked about that already. I feel like they can either be contenders to have a first round exit, and neither would surprise me. I feel you there, Josh Simmons. I mean, it sucks to admit that as a Bulls fan, but I can definitely see that. I love how Zach really got his shots in rhythm. I said that earlier as well. Yes, Zach playing in rhythm of the offense is so much more dangerous than Zach forcing it and being frustrated with the refs. Absolutely. How do you feel about one of the first round for Dwight? No. I don't think Dwight helps with a lot of the holes that we have, but he doesn't do nothing with spacing. And a first round pick for Dwight at this point, I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that. Now, if he gets cut or something like that, I would absolutely love signing him. But a first round for him, a player that's on the wrong side of 30, no, I don't like that at all. I wouldn't say he necessarily gets bullied, but he has been playing most of his minutes have come out of position, right? And that's the thing. We have a lot of players that are 3-4s that have been playing 4 or 5 this season. But I love Haize's energy. But that's really all he brings to this point is energy and rebounding. And like I said, something else has to happen. Caruso is a champion. DeMar has been to the conference final. Vooch is one-time playoffs. We have experience. Lonzo will finish his career Bull with no, that's not going to happen. What kind of crack are you smoking? How are you going to let PG go off in the first? What? How are we going to let PJ go off in the first? So about PJ Washington? It happens. He always kills the Bulls. I agree with that. I agree that we need somebody of that ilk. Good point on Lob City and how it didn't translate. My question is more of a why is there fluidity ease for them in fast break scoring? They always look like a little. I mean, it may just be with familiarity. And it may also be with a lot of players not like, and they showed it in this game. There are players on this team that aren't really moving with intention a lot of times when they're off the ball. I think there's more towards the bench players, but I mean, we do get highlights. We got a few in this game in transition. I mean, the Bulls score in transition when they get turnovers. Now, if you're saying you wish that it looked easier, I mean, yeah, for sure. But I think they're more efficient in that than what they are. Ayton doesn't sign back with the Suns for not giving him the max and signs. That's not going to happen either, because what he can get in the free agent market is way more than even in the protections. And everything. He's probably not going to sign with the Bulls, or if it is way down the road. Dewan Walker, new subscriber here. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. Hopefully you're liking this live stream. We're starting to do live streams more often here. This is probably the biggest one I had so far. 132 people or 160 people in the live stream at one point. Bulls should trade for PJ Tucker. I would love him as a veteran on this team. It just depends on what we have to give up for him. What, you don't think his brothers would? No, they're not coming to Chicago. Charlotte would be crazy to ever let LaMelo go. And keep in mind, so for LaMelo to become first, because the Charlotte Hornets can match, they're going to probably match any deal that LaMelo gets. So we're looking at 5-6 years before LaMelo is a true unrestricted free agent. Come on, man. We need to figure out the zone. Yes, that's what we talked about earlier in this chat. The zone defense, and the Bulls need to figure out how to bust that zone very quickly, because it's going to get more difficult for them as the course of the season goes when they play better teams, but specifically in the playoffs. If the Bulls can't figure out how to bust that zone and play better when the zone comes at them, they're going to be an easy out in the playoffs for better playoff teams. Because when you have a team that is focusing on nothing but beating you for 7 games, it's going to get a lot more difficult than what it is now. James Johnson would be a good defensive option at the power forward. I actually like that pick a lot. I don't know what his contract is. I don't know anything like that. A James Johnson type player would be really good for this team. You feel like some of the mistakes Kobe makes will hurt us in the playoffs. Well, my hope is that Kobe is not making these same mistakes in the playoffs. Kobe played with really good focus and activity on the defensive end. He doesn't have some defensive ability, which is always going to be able to be exploited. But if Kobe starts shooting and scoring at the efficiency and the percentage that he was last year, that is a great bench player, right? But the thing is that Kobe is a bench player. So do I think it will hurt us? Yeah, it can hurt us, but we have players that can overcome it, because if Kobe is hurting us, it's simple as switching the IO switch, right? Bull showed a lot of character and could have easily. I agree with that. I would say that this Bulls team, when they were playing without Vooch, and not just because Vooch was out, but I'm just saying that time period, the run that the Charlotte Hornets went on to begin the fourth quarter would have completely ended the Bulls game. Do you think the boys have potential to go deep? Absolutely. Absolutely. I talked about that. I think they have Eastern Conference Finals potential. What do you feel we need to trade for, at least slow Embiid down? We just need a power forward and a big who ultra shots, plays long, right, and plays tough. That's what we need. When it comes to physicality in the Golden State game, Draymond was bullying everyone. Well, Draymond bullies a lot of people on the court, but yeah, I agree with that. It's Michael I know that we're a top 5 heartbreak team or something. He keeps asking questions about our fast break efficiency. Hey, I mean, as Bulls fans, everybody has that one thing that they stick on and want to see improved. These are great questions, real basketball freaks, and absolutely. I will say this. I don't know about anybody else's live stream audience, right? I joined the Windy City Breeze, I think their channel, their live stream a few days ago. I used to watch a lot of Locked On Bulls live streams, but the audience here on Chicago Bulls Central that watches these live streams, they come with their questions. And yeah, we get the odd ones, right? We get those as well. They're still part of the family, but we have great conversations here after games. That's why I love doing these live streams, even though it kills my throat talking for this long. He's average 4 more assists No, we gotta stop. Like Liberty Bell, you just keep trying to find your one thing, right? One thing. Yeah, no. I mean, it definitely would help, right? But as long as this team doesn't play half court offense through Lonzo, I mean, he could still get it, but I don't think that necessarily is what's gonna determine us being contenders or not. What do you make of IO future wise? I talked about this a little bit on the halftime hangout, and I did say I was going to bring that back here, and I didn't. So if IO keeps playing the way that he's playing, it's going to be difficult for the Bulls to keep him long term. Second round picks are unrestricted free agents after year 2. And because of that, that means teams can throw anything at him. Happened with Wesley Matthews. There's somebody else that I'm thinking that it happened to more recently. But second round picks that outplay their contracts are notoriously hard for the teams that drafted them to keep them, especially when you look at where a team where at that point we would be 1 year or 2 years into Zach's max level contract. We still have DeMar, still have Alex Caruso, still have Lonzo Ball. If IO keeps playing this good, I'm not saying that the Bulls can't keep him, right? But they don't have the matching ability that they have with first round picks. They don't have the ability to just match any offer that they get. They would have to sign him into cap space, or they'll have early bird rights as well. But it's notoriously difficult for teams to keep second round picks that play amazingly. Now, again, IO may be willing to sign for less on a shorter term deal with the Chicago Bulls with hopes of signing a longer deal because he is a hometown kid. There's a lot of those type of things that I'm not factoring into this. But future-wise, I think Io is absolutely going to be a player. At the bare minimum, Io can be the first guard off the bench. At the bare minimum, I think that that's the way that this is going to go that he's showing so far. Now, again, potential is not always realized. That could change. We can see him take a regression or not progress as much as that we think he's going to in that second year or whatever else. But if he does, it's going to be hard for the Bulls to re-sign them. Like I said, first round picks at the end of their contracts, you have that matching ability. You have the ability to match any offers that they get. You have restricted free agency. That does not exist with second round picks on their contracts. So let's say this is after next season, Io keeps playing this way. I don't know what team they have a hole at a starting power point guard that they want to give Io a chance or whatever else, and they offer him a Daniel Gafford type deal. The Bulls are not going to be able to match that. So that's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Yes, I think Billy Donovan's the right coach for the Bulls as of right now. I don't know. Yes, he has some issues, right? He has things that he needs to improve on as a coach, but I think he's still the right coach for the job right now. Not gonna lie, everybody spot RQ is always it is. Like I said, we have our crazy comments from time to time, but for the most part, we do great work. Guys care too much about stats. 5 Bulls had 5 assists or more today. That's what we need. Exactly. Because when you spread it around, when it's not all coming from one person, it makes it so much more difficult. Again, I said that earlier in the stream. What Lonzo does that doesn't show up in the stat sheet is so important to how good the Bulls are playing. Finish strong at the hoop. Bradley, Zoe, and Io 2 hands. I get what you're saying. Yes. Yes. I don't think if my last one went up, but I just wanted to say, do you think the Bulls have potential? Yes, they absolutely have potential to go deep in the playoffs. I have said that the Bulls have potential to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that absolutely, especially considering they still have time. They still are gelling, right? They still can get better and improve by not making any additions to this team. But if you adding a power forward and that brings us what we need, yes, absolutely, the Bulls have potential to go deep. Like well, we kind of just talked about when Zach isn't forcing and he shoots like he did tonight and is scoring like he did tonight, Bulls are hard to beat. It's going to be interesting to see how Billy's coach will work in the playoffs. Yeah, how his coaching will work in the playoffs. Yeah, but I mean, we've seen that a little bit with the Thunder, right? So we know kind of what he's going to. Now, this is the way that this roster is made up is completely different from that team. And one thing that Billy Donovan does do great is that he really adjusts his scheme to the players on the team. It's not about the players fitting the scheme. It's about creating the best scheme that fits the players. And we're still seeing that. We're still seeing it be figured out. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he continues to fix those things. Why we need to drive more to the basket and open up the kickback to get more assists. He can work on that, but the whole team needs to move the ball and keep being successful. Flat 3 Studio, I completely agree with that. Of course, Billy is the right coach. The fuck. Buck Dandruff. That is a great username. I always thought of Billy as a coach to develop players. Caruso. Yep. That's our dude. What's your opinion on LaMelo? Do you think he has MV? You can't really say MVP potential in the second year, right? I mean, can he get there? Absolutely. When you look at the impact he has, the way that he scores, and how he plays on both sides of the ball, he can. He can. But I mean, it's going to be a minute probably before that's realized. What if we had Tom Thibodeau still as coach now? Do we think we would be better? Different? Well, look, the Bulls are defense isn't the thing, right? And Tom Thibodeau, I don't think can have the Bulls playing this brand of offense. It'd be a very more simple type offense, and usually Thibodeau's offense is really built around one player being the heart of that of generating force behind that. But no, I don't know if we'd be better, right? I think in a perfect world, um, I don't know. I think we'd be very similar, kind of in the same place, honestly. And I think maybe our starters would be playing even more minutes and wore down. What seed do you think? I think the Bulls are going to finish at minimum fourth seed, unless some more injuries happen, fifth seed or something like that. But I really do think fourth seed for sure. Hopefully higher than that. But like I said, I want to see the Charlotte versus the Bulls in the playoffs. Also, I'm a new subscriber. Keep doing your thing, brother. Good job. Thank you, Maurice Walker. I appreciate that so much. Trey, no, what the fuck? Come on, man. I love y'all, but shit, see, as soon as we start talking about good basketball content in here and comments in here, something like that. What do you think of Kobe's third quarter 1 point? I wanted to view him better. Again, it's going to be a month before we really see what Kobe, and he could very much stay like this, right? I want to be that clear. I'm not saying that give him a month, he's going to be so much better that he's going to prove everyone wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I think it's going to be a month before we're really able to see what Kobe White's going to give us this season, just because of everything that happened with this offseason. All right, y'all. We are 1 minute away from midnight, so I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. So go ahead and get any last comments or anything in, but we're going to be wrapping this up pretty soon here. We always have, Ball Brothers stands are crazy. So the Lockdown Brothers, I like that. Ayton for Vooch and Kobe if Phoenix doesn't pay him. I don't know if they take that. If they do take it, I don't hate it. That's what I'll say. Not sure if you touched on this, but what do you think was the main factor for tonight's the Bulls playing with freedom offensively? Zach playing very controlled, intentional, the ball moving intentionally overall as a team, the Bulls' ability to respond to that fourth quarter start that the Hornets had, and also not having another down third quarter, coming into the third quarter, being able to maintain that lead, increase the lead. Now, yes, that did go away with the way that the third quarter started, but overall, there's the key factors that this team played together, and it didn't seem like they let any adversity throw them off the game plan. I think that those were the key factors. I just think a dynamic of a better run and gun offense. We have the passes and the IQ, the way we run our half court sets would really break teams back and equal more wins by more points. Well, it's not just more points than always equal more wins. Also defense, and the Bulls play great defense. Run and gun offense as well. We really don't do a run and gun offense. That's not the way that this offense is right now. We do get out in transition when we get turnovers, but we don't have a run and gun offense. I don't think that that's the word or the way I would use to describe the Bulls offense, in my opinion. There may be people who disagree with me there. We need a tough big like Serge. That would be good. That would be good. Kobe White's draft comparison was Gilbert Arenas. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that not all potential is realized. He did probably, looking at him and his scoring ability and his ability to shoot, I can understand why that would have possibly been a cop for him. But not all potential is realized. So those are just things to give you in a perfect world. If every potential is hit, those are why those comps are met. Do you think the Bulls have solved their zone problem? They haven't solved it, right? If they solved it, they figured it out in this game. But I would have to see several games and a trend to say that they solved that. Predictions for next game is going to be an interesting one. That's what I'm going to leave it at. It's going to be interesting, a dogfight. That's what it's going to be. I just see a trade. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's crazy. Like Ricky Fontaine, I love him. Shout out, bro. Like, yeah, people really be tripping in here with that shit. Like, the trade shit drives me crazy. Do you think LiAngelo Ball will fit? No. No, he's not going to have a role. No, he will be on the Windy City Bulls. Do you think this is the best Bulls team? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now people got to guard Vooch more. I mean, people are already, nobody was leaving Vooch wide open. Let's be clear about that. Nobody was leaving Vooch wide open just because of the threat that he had to be scored. It was not going to. This is for the Chicago Bulls haters and critics. We're back. We've been back. We've been back. So next play, exactly. That's why I didn't like that term of using run and gun, because I don't think that's the best way to describe. Why did we lose to the Rockets Heat? What you know what happened? We didn't play together. We didn't play as good and as efficient. I shouldn't have to answer this. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, the Bulls just didn't play as together. Like they, especially those games and the officiating that they had. The Bulls, the Rockets game was completely, I think, the Bulls underestimating it, getting in their heads about the last loss. The Heat, they played a really good game against the Heat. It wasn't that it was a bad game. They're just not always, even you can play good and not win every game. That was a playoff atmosphere type game that they were in down the stretch. They just didn't come out. That's all it is. Just simple as that. All right. 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. It's 12:03. We're going to end the stream. I got to get some sleep. The Bulls have scorers and they are a major contender for the Eastern Conference. Absolutely. Absolutely. Please stop asking video game. Listen, the amount of 2K, like there was actually somebody in one of my comments who said, "Oh, I put this player on the Bulls team on 2K and I won every game. The Bulls should trade for this player." And I'm just like, how? How do you sit there and type that and think, never mind, because that shit gets me frustrated. To be honest, Vooch played better defense than he does. He does. He's more active on defense than we give him credit for. Again, I think there's a difference, right? There's 2 different types of defenses, and this is what we're going to end it on. There is one-on-one defense in which Vooch is not a great one-on-one defender. If you're saying, "Hey, Vooch, go guard him and lock him down," Vooch is probably not going to do that more times than that. That's one-on-one defense. Then there's this other thing of team defense, which it's about defensive scheme. It's about playing the way that the scheme dictates you play, that you rotate on defense, that you watch the pick and rolls, that you move to certain players. The team defense aspect of this team is why we're ranked as high as we are in defense. And Vooch plays very good team defense on this team. I think the Bulls can beat anyone in a series. Will they? Will they be favored? No. But I think the Bulls have the ability to beat anybody in the series in the East. Anybody. Might as well, right, Alex? Zion for Kobe. Why not? Vision tomorrow, better players than the haters thought. Take that, Stephen A. Absolutely. And that is the last thing that we're going to leave this on. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys so much for sticking through. You guys showed up on this live stream. This has been the highest viewed one so far, so I appreciate you guys so much for this. Thank you for all the new subscribers that came on this as well. I'll try to get a video out tomorrow morning. If not, it'll be more tomorrow afternoon. But like I like to end every video on here, I love you guys so much, man. Make sure you're following us at Bull Central Pod. You can send any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, Bull Central Pod at gmail.com. Sorry, forgot my email. I'm tired. Bull Central Pod at gmail.com. If you leave any emails or anything there, I will definitely read them on the next episode. But that's it. I appreciate you guys, man. Like I like to end every video on. Go Bulls. Love you guys. Peace.